is lesson 2.3 regarding solving inequalities using multiplication or division here in Algebra 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at this problem. So we're going to go ahead and solve this guy, and it's going to be divided by -2 on both sides, right? Typically with our inverse operation, showing that x is less than -5. And the thing is, we want to give a value for x that's going to make this guy true, okay? So for example, let's go ahead and insert 1, okay? Now, if we insert 1 into this equation, that doesn't make any sense, right? If we were going to insert a 1 right here, what you're going to wind up having is -2 less than 10, which makes perfect sense. However, if we put a 1 in to this inequality, this doesn't really make any sense right here. 1 less than -5 is just not true, okay? So therefore, that's what the 3 dots mean, of course, is that x is going to be greater than -5, because what's going to make that true is if we insert the 1 there, right, 1 will be greater than -5. This is demonstrating one of the things that we have to do when we are multiplying and dividing utilizing a negative. It's the only real hitch with these problems, is that when we're multiplying or dividing by a negative, not just dividing a negative or multiplying a negative, but by a negative, that's the operative preposition, you have to flip the inequality sign, okay, in order to maintain truth to your statement. So let's try another one of these. If we take 4, we're going to, we take the problem of -4 greater than x over 4, okay? When we solve this problem, and if we're going to solve and graph it, we're going to have a few things to do here. So first, to isolate this guy, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay? So 4 times -4 is -16, right? Which is going to be greater than, of course, these 4s are going to factor out x. Now, gentlemen, we don't have to flip our sign here, right? Because here we multiplied a positive, not multiplied by a positive, not multiplied by a negative, right? Here, we multiplied a negative, but not by, right? So it has to do with what we do during the inverse operation. By the way, if we want to go ahead and graph this, remember, we're going to flip around our inequality where the variable's on the left, right? Which means we can flip this whole thing around to maintain truth, right? So that we have the inequality sign opening up to the larger value. It's one way logically we can think of it, which we like when we graph this way, right? We like when we have it written this way. It makes it easier for us to graph, because now all we have to do is distinguish where -16 is, what side of 0, and it's on the left side. It's going to be an open dot, of course, but when we have to do our shading, less than, right? Remember, we can utilize the direction that this points in for which part we're going to shade, which direction we're going to shade. And of course, we're going to shade in the line and include the arrow. Let's complete some more problems. How about 2n less than or equal to 14? Let's give it a shot. Ready? Divide by 2, divide by 2, right? And we're going to have n less than or equal to 7. It's pretty straightforward. There were no negatives at all involved, so therefore we're done, right? We don't have to worry about it. If we're going to graph it, right, we need to put 0 and show 7's relationship to it, which is it's on the right side, it's greater, right? It's going to be a closed dot. And because our variable's on the left, we can just use the direction that the inequality points, which is to the left, less than, and include the arrow. And we've completed the problem. Fairly straightforward. All right, so let's try another one out here. We're going to have 3 greater than x divided by -7. So to get our x isolated, we're going to multiply both sides by -7. Right? That's going to factor out. Now my x is by itself. Now, look, we are multiplying by a negative on the left. So this is -21. However, because we're multiplying by a negative, we have to flip our sign. So we go from greater than to less than, and now x is by itself. This is our answer. Or, of course, what we would like to write is we like to write the variable on the left side, right? It's going to be opened up, right? The inequality opened up to the x. And we have -21, which is great. We prefer it this way because when we graph we know which direction this guy should be pointing in, right? It's going to be 2 tick marks. We know for 0, the relationship negative 21 has is it's on the left side of it. It's greater than, but not equal to, so it's an open dot, and again, the inequality points to the right, so we shade to the right. Then include the arrow. So this is our complete solution with the graph. Last but not least, let's take the problem. Negative 5m greater than or equal to negative 45. All right. So to solve this, again, m by itself, we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And the negative 5s will automatically factor out the m. And remember, we divided by a negative 5. It doesn't matter that 45 is negative, right? It's by a negative 5. So that way we are going to have to flip our inequality sign, going from greater than or equal to less than or equal to. Negative 45 divided by negative 5, of course, is 9. So there we go. What's great about that? The variable's already on the left, right? And as you know, my requirements for graphing, I only need you to show me the relationship to 0. I don't need all the tick marks, right? So I'm going to show that 9 is on here. Its relationship to 0 is it's on the right side of it, right? It's greater than 0. We're going to put a solid dot because it is not only less than, but is also equal to. And the inequality points to the left of the variable on the left. So there we go. We are done. And that is our answer. So it's pretty straightforward. The key, again, only when multiplying by or dividing by a negative, make sure that if you're multiplying a negative or dividing a negative, you just leave the problem alone and don't mess around with the inequality sign. Again, my preference for you, I think it causes less confusion of which way do you graph, is if you remember to rewrite your inequality with the variable on the left side. Your assignment is posted on Canvas. Good luck.